I heard on the news the other day and saw in the newspaper where you guys had acquired a $500,000 grant from the federal government. Tell me how that happened.
Well, we've worked very closely with the people in the community, working very closely with our congressional delegation, and recognizing the needs that our community has to try and provide public service on one hand, and then on the other hand, work responsibly to pay for those services. So we worked very closely to bring in Congressman Rogers and his staff to bring them up to date about what it is as far as our needs were in the area of emergency operations services. And then from that, we asked them to help us identify grant programs that would meet the needs of our specific community. And through the efforts of Congressman Rogers and his staff, we were able to obtain a line item appropriation from the Homeland Security Committee through the Department of the Federal Emergency Management area. It's in a part of their FEMA's budget, so it will ultimately trickle down to support us. And there are a lot of other communities across the country that have applied for and received funding under this same exact program.
Is it that you guys are planning far in advance rather than just dealing with the here and now kind of situation that cause you to be on target for these kinds of opportunities?
That's the biggest part of it. Is it starts with having a plan for And you recall earlier I said we first met with the community to assess what the needs were, and then that comes through our public planning process, and we've developed a strategic plan and a master plan that we're following, and we're working to implement the various components of that plan. Once we identify the need, then we're able to go out and target our requests. You know, you only get so many times to bite off the apple, if you will, and so we worked to cultivate our relationship with the congressman. It's not about parties. Being here as the town clerk of Shorter, I'm in a nonpartisan role. So whether it's a Republican that's a senator or a Democrat, or if it's a Republican that's governor or a Democrat or libertarian or what have you, it being in a nonpartisan position, we're going to work with whatever individual or party is in place. And so that's what we work to develop the relationships, identify the needs of the people, and then work to implement where necessary.
Now, once the grant materializes, what are you guys going to do with that $500,000?
Well, our intention is to take the building that we're in right now, which is currently known to many as the Shorter Town Hall. We've just actually completed our first phase of renovations in here, moving out a good deal of our staff to free up space so that we can then begin the process of renovating and expanding this existing building. We're going to rename the town hall the Shorter Emergency Operations Center. We purchased 4 acres next door, which also included a home that we've renovated and converted into an office temporarily for our police department. The idea is to take this town hall, renovate it, and then put our operations center in it. We're looking at really about $1.5 million in investment. So the $500,000 is just a piece of it. We're going to have to come up with about another $1 million on our own just to make the operations center come into being. So for some of the other communities around us, that may be one of the reasons why programs like this haven't been sought after, because it may not at the time be a priority need.
What do you need from your citizenry as you pursue this mission?
We need more participation. You never can have enough citizen participation. That's the biggest part. Every community is starving for that. We've got a lot of need for volunteers to help to coordinate a lot of different activities and community development exercises that we're going through. There's just not enough community participation, and it's not something that's just symptomatic of Shorter or symptomatic of Macon County. It's something that we're seeing across the country. People just they're struggling to pay bills. They don't have a lot of free time to go out volunteering and showing up at meetings. They're trying to figure out how to keep the lights on. And so that's one of the things that we're trying to get across to our leaders in Washington and in Montgomery, that we've got to do something to change the way people are having to live in this country and in this state. We've got to make it so that parents have more time to spend with their children. You know, a lot of the crime and violence and things that we're seeing right now are a result of parents not being able to interact with their children, not being able to oversee their children because they're trying to work. You know, one of the things, and I know it's kind of a side issue, that for many years I've heard people make a big to-do about single parent households, and that's a reality, and that's something that's going to be with us for a long time to come. But I've seen a lot of children who do come out of single parent homes who are probably some of the best and brightest.
Absolutely.
And so we've got to stop stigmatizing.
Absolutely.
But then at the same time, what I do recognize that we're not doing effectively is making it possible for that single mom who's got a couple kids, who's trying to work, trying to lift herself from poverty, trying to point a way to a brighter future for her children, being unable to do it. Particularly here in Macon County, where there aren't a lot of employment choices, limited competition in business, we've got limited opportunity for people to really reach their best and greatest potential. And so that's one of the things that we're really focused upon and sympathetic about as a community, as a town, is the need for us to provide more working opportunities for people, better jobs that allow them to have some time off with their family, benefits that will, you know, help pay for health care coverage and the like. So those are the things that we're really focusing on, and we're hoping to be able to attract jobs that will allow us to do those, you know, people to have that sort of experience.